Hey. Just checking in, making sure everybody can hear me. Right now, I'm going to send an alert for some people here. Make sure, okay, we got somebody that can hear me. That's positive news. I'm going to send an update here for us right now. But I want to update you guys on some storms. So I'm going to let a couple of people join us here before we talk about the heat and humidity and why our storm chances are impacting later on today. All right, I am coming. We are good. We are good to go. Sending that deal. All right, welcome here, and I'm going to kind of pop in with you guys here. Weather First meteorologist Gary Frank with an update here. Obviously, it's sunny as can be right now, but it's hot, it's humid, and we're focused on the chance for storms later on today. Now, I don't think that these storms are going to be too significant, but I do want to update you because they're going to arrive later on tonight. And I want to talk about why they're not as significant. First and foremost, let's put this on the full screen as some of you guys are joining us. And I'm going to run through my whole little spiel here, and then I'm going to try to answer some of your questions while I have time between now and this 2:22 cut-in I have here for you. So I'll open this as I often do. I'll throw the chat on, see what you guys are talking about. First and foremost, it is clear as can be outside. You can see what's going on here. I'll turn that video down so you don't hear me twice. But it's this area that we're dealing with as far as storm development. I'm going to move a couple things around here. I got about 7 minutes to talk to you, so I'm going to do my best here to kind of update you. This is an area that we're focused for storm development along this cold front, and that's what's settling in. And right now it's hot and humid, but it's along this area that we're going to watch storm development that's pretty significant throughout the next 2 to 3 hours. There's probably going to be some severe thunderstorm watch that's hoisted up, maybe a tornado watch, but that's the area that we're watching for. Now, that being said, as I kind of flip this back and forth here, what you're going to notice here is, as we look at the potential for our severe weather, here's what it says from the Storm Prediction Center. You'll notice that there's a wide area of this enhanced risk. That's category 3 of 5 from the Storm Prediction Center, and that just clips Pike County, so that's not really that significant. But what you'll notice is this kind of cuts off in a hurry, right? So I'll put this on the full screen, but I'll go back and forth here just to talk to you here because, that kind of flips us back and forth here. What you'll notice here is the fact that, for the most part, you're looking at areas from Bowling Green all the way to St. Louis. This cuts off pretty quickly, right? So the fact for me is that we just, we just kind of have an area that cuts off pretty quickly. The reason for this simply has to do with the fact that, we're going to see the heating of the day really wind down, and I think that's what we're going to see for the most part. There are not as many favorable conditions here for me here. So let's look at a couple of things here and what I think is going to happen here. One of the reasons for it is obviously we have a little more humidity north of that front. And one of the things that we're looking at here, we have dew points in the mid-60s, but look at Kansas City, look at Kirksville, look at Quincy. Those numbers in the 70s are a little more significant for me when it comes to the opportunity to see significant severe weather and also just fueling those storms. But also our temperatures are on the warm side, but not only let's talk about what it feels like right now. Our temperatures feel like they're in the 90s, 96, but 100 plus. And not only do we have a core of this heat, which I'll, kind of pull back out and show you, not only do we have the core of this heat, but look at temperatures here right now. And we have temperatures that are holding steady in the mid 90s, but look at through the core of this heat. That front's kind of settling in. And, for the most part, what we're going to see here is the fact that with the core of this heat that's kind of settled in, we have temperatures that are, really warm above the surface. And a lot of the times, you have this core of this heat right here. I'll show you the core of where this heat is right now. A lot of the times I show you this map here specifically. Let me find this one for you because I'm just kind of showing you a couple things off and on as we talk about. So I want to show you in advanced tracking like the core of where this heat is. And when we show you what this is, watch how this warm air right here is kind of settled in. And I'll use that in terms of today. Well, the core of this warmer air right about here, this is where this heat dome is kind of centered in. And as a result, there's not much room for storm development. But what we're having here behind this is that cold air that's kind of focused in just behind this. And that's where we have that ability for storm development to kind of settle in. And so I don't think that there's going to be much in the way of severe weather for us. I think that we'll start to see the dying embers of these storms when they start to develop to our north. And that's the main thing for me, is I don't think that we're going to see significant severe weather with this, just because of the core of the timing of this. But I do want to show you a potential radar picture here as I'm coming up close here, how things are kind of settling in. Here's how it may set up, because as we look at these storms that may develop, and I'll show you a couple of different models. Let's start off with model 1. This is by 3 or 4 o'clock. Watch how this settles in, this big line of storms, and then it moves further to the south. As I zoom in, it moves further south, and watch how it just kind of fizzles out and falls apart. Some of us not getting much rain at all, right? I want to show you this just because it kind of gives you an idea. Here's another one that's one of our high resolution models. Watch here by 5, 6, 7 o'clock, and as we continue to see things settle down and then fall apart, right? I still think that we're going to get storms from this, but the reality is I don't know that we're going to get much in the way of significant severe weather. So here are our severe weather impacts before I try to answer some of your questions, before I come up on this 223 update that we have on air and on 5+. But we have high winds between 8 to 12 o'clock that may be 40 to 60 miles an hour. We may see some high hail, but tornadoes are not a threat. Flash flooding is not a threat. I think as these storms tend to fall apart, they kind of push all that wind down to the surface. That's where you may see that 40 to 60 mile an hour wind threat. That's probably the main thing that I would look at right now. And like I mentioned, this area is primed for severe weather development later on today. We don't have any active watches right now. You see this heat. That's the main thing that's in play. But it is this area right now, like I mentioned, from north to south, our threat wanes. And I'm going to try to answer some of your questions if you guys have had any. So for the most part, you know, that's the main story for us right now. And I think when it comes to chances for rain, I think we're going to see a few storms, but the main story for me is the rest of the day. It's still dry, hot, and humid. The storms to the north will be here during peak heating, but they'll be weakening. Our wind and hail remain as main threats. I'm coming up on this 223 update on air, on 5+ as well. You'll be able to see that. I'm going to try to keep you up to date throughout the day. I'm going to update our article on KSDK.com with this specific scenario. But like I mentioned, storms are possible. They're likely. They will be falling apart as they reach us. Our severe weather threat is much lower. And I'll let you guys take a look at this specific full screen here that we have, like I mentioned, for the potential for severe weather. Our chances are winding down. I'm going to end this live stream, and I'm going to see you on air here shortly, and of course at 4 o'clock.